I live in a quiet duplex in Jacksonville, a two-bedroom, single-floor setup, tucked between old oaks and a crumbling sidewalk on Phillips Highway. It's the kind of neighborhood where the silence is either peaceful or eerie, depending on the weather. It started on a Thursday night. I was just finishing dinner, microwave lasagna and a cheap beer, when I heard it. 3 slow knocks, not loud, but firm, deliberate. I wasn't expecting anyone, so I waited, half thinking maybe it was for the neighbor in the other unit. But then, another 3 knocks, this time a bit louder. I stepped to the door and peeked through the peephole. A man stood there, late 40s maybe, tall, slightly hunched, wearing a faded gray hoodie and black jeans. His face was strangely blank, not angry, not nervous, just empty. I cracked the door, left the chain on. "Can I help you?" I asked. He looked at me like I was the one who was out of place. "I'm looking for Emily," he said in a flat voice. "There's no Emily here," I replied. "You sure?" he asked. I paused, not really sure how to respond to that. "Yeah, I've lived here 6 months. There's no Emily at this address." He nodded slowly, like he didn't believe me, then walked away without another word. I watched him head down the street. No car, just vanished into the dark. I didn't think too much of it at first. Weird people come through this area sometimes. But the next night, he came back. Same knock, same time, around 9:30 p.m., same flat voice. "I'm looking for Emily." Again, I told him he had the wrong place. And again, he walked off without explanation. By the 3rd night, I didn't open the door. I just watched through the peephole. He stood there longer this time, maybe 5 full minutes. Didn't knock again, just stood there. Eventually, he walked off like before. I called my landlord the next day, asked if anyone named Emily had lived here before me. He hesitated. "Yeah, I think so. A few tenants ago. Moved out in a hurry." "Moved out? Or went missing?" I half joked. He didn't laugh. I don't really know. I didn't manage the property back then. That night, I kept the porch light on, but the man didn't come. Instead, I got something else. A knock, but not at the front door. It came from the side of the house. I live alone. No pets, no kids, no reason for anyone to be back there. I tiptoed to the bedroom window and peeked out from behind the blinds. I saw the shape of someone standing just outside the glow of the back porch light, frozen in place. I couldn't see his face this time, but I knew it was him. My phone was already in my hand. I called 911. By the time the cops got there, he was gone. No signs of forced entry. No footprints. Nothing. They told me to call again if he returned. Suggested maybe installing a camera. So I did. A motion-activated doorbell cam and a second one facing the side yard. And for a week, nothing happened. Until Wednesday. I came home from work, pulled into my driveway, and noticed something strange on the footage. A recording from earlier that morning, around 4:12 a.m. The man, standing in my driveway, just staring at my door, not moving, not trying to get in, just staring for 37 minutes. He left just before sunrise. I showed the footage to the police. They took it seriously this time, asked if I had any enemies, or if I'd ever been stalked. I hadn't. Not once in my life. The cops increased patrols in my area, but I never saw them. And then, Friday night came. I was in bed, watching TV, trying not to think about him. And that's when I heard it again. 3 knocks. But this time, it wasn't the front door. It was my bedroom window. I froze. Didn't move. Barely breathed. Another knock. Same rhythm. Then silence. I reached for my phone, but it buzzed before I could dial. Unknown number. I didn't answer. But a voicemail popped up seconds later. I pressed play with shaking fingers. It was quiet at first. Just background noise. And then his voice. "Emily, I know you're in there." I swear, my blood turned to ice. I stayed crouched by my bed until sunrise. Didn't sleep. Didn't blink. The next day, I packed a bag and went to stay at a friend's place across town. I didn't go back until Sunday, with 2 friends and a crowbar in hand. The house was untouched. Nothing was broken. Nothing missing. But in the backyard, behind a patch of overgrown bushes, we found a small wooden board, half buried in dirt. It had one word carved into it, messy and shallow. Emily. That was a week ago. I haven't seen him since, but I still check the cameras every night. And sometimes, I think I catch a glimpse of something, a flicker in the shadows. I found the Craigslist post while scrolling through listings from my old, stained mattress on the floor of a friend's basement in Portland. It just read, "Room for rent, $300 a month. Utilities included. No pets, no parties. Must be clean. Must be quiet. No photos. No details. Just a number and an address in Southeast Portland, near Foster." I called. A man picked up. Calm, quick sentences. Said his name was Alan. He told me the room was still available, and I could move in the next day. Cash preferred, month to month. I had nothing to lose. When I got there the next morning, the building surprised me. It wasn't the crumbling trap I expected. The outside looked recently painted. The inside smelled faintly of bleach and cedar. Alan opened the door before I could knock. He was strange. Early 30s, maybe. Pale. Slim. Perfectly still when he spoke. The way he blinked. Deliberate. Like he was remembering to do it. But he was polite. Said, "Please," and "Thank you." He never looked me in the eye. The room was small but neat. No stains. No smell. The apartment had one of those soft white lights that make everything feel like a dentist's office. But it was clean. Unnaturally clean. I moved in that night. For the first week, everything was fine. Alan kept to himself. I never heard him watch TV. Never saw him cook. But I noticed something odd right away. He was never home between midnight and 4 a.m. It became a routine. At 11:55 p.m., Alan would grab his jacket, always the same black one, and leave without a word. At 4 a.m., like clockwork, I'd hear the front door creak open and the soft thud of his boots coming back in. He always walked straight into his room and locked the door. No bathroom stop, no food, no noise. At first, I thought maybe he worked at a hospital, a night janitor maybe. But the way he left, it didn't feel like a job. He was too focused, too calm. I told myself it was none of my business, until I started hearing the sounds. One night, I stayed up to work on a freelance assignment. Around 2:00 a.m., I heard something. A faint noise, like a high-pitched whirring, mechanical, followed by 3 soft, wet thumps. I froze, held my breath. It was coming from somewhere outside the apartment. Then silence. The next night, I stayed up again. This time I heard something closer, more deliberate. It was a zipper. Not just a casual unzip, slow, like someone was dragging it open with care. Then I heard something metal hit the ground outside, followed by what sounded like dripping, not a leaky pipe, dripping, like something thick. I decided to follow him. I waited until he left, then gave it 2 minutes and followed him at a distance. He walked fast, turned down alleys, crossed empty intersections without looking. I had to stay behind parked cars to keep hidden. Eventually, we ended up behind a shut-down meat processing plant. He went to a side door, used a key, and vanished inside. I circled around and found a dusty window to peek through. What I saw, I still don't understand. Inside, Alan had a tarp laid out. Surgical tools, scalpels, clamps, bone saws, lined neatly in metal trays. He wore a white apron now, splattered with dark stains. There was a body on the table. I don't know if it was dead already. I hope to God it was. He worked like a machine. Calm, precise. He wasn't just cutting. He was harvesting. I gagged and turned away, barely holding it in. Then I heard it. His voice, right behind me. Curiosity is a disease. I turned around. No one was there. Just the wind against the metal siding of the building. When I looked back in the window, the table was empty. Alan was gone. I ran all the way home, locked every door, didn't sleep a second. At 4:06 a.m., the door creaked open. His boots thudded softly through the living room, into his room. Click. Locked. Nothing else. I moved out the next day. Didn't even ask for my deposit back. But here's the thing. 2 nights ago, I was walking back from my new job. Different part of Portland, different neighborhood. I saw him, standing outside a rundown duplex, talking to someone, smiling, and handing them a folded piece of paper. I already know what it said. Room for rent, $300 month. Utilities included. Must be clean. Must be quiet. It was 2:07 a.m. when I swiped right on Aiden. I was half asleep, wine-buzzed, curled up with my dog Leo on the couch. I wasn't looking for anything serious. I just felt lonely, bored, maybe a little reckless. Aiden's profile had 4 photos, one with him and a golden retriever, one at a pumpkin patch, one in a movie theater wearing a Michael Myers hoodie, and one of him holding up a Best Horror Fan mug. Cute, clean, totally normal. His bio just said, horror junkie, dog lover, up late. He messaged me almost immediately. We started talking about movies. He loved horror, knew every obscure reference I threw at him. He even guessed my favorite horror movie, just based on my birth year and Spotify playlists. It was eerie how quickly he made me feel seen. Understood, he was charming. Too charming, maybe. But I ignored that. The next night, he asked if I wanted to meet up. He suggested a 24-hour diner just outside Tucson, Jake's Diner, near I-10. I said yes, mostly because it was public, and I didn't want to seem paranoid. He was already at the booth when I walked in. Black hoodie, same smirk from his photos. Brown eyes that didn't blink enough. Leo didn't like him. He growled softly when we passed the window. Even though he usually loves everyone, I left Leo in the car with the windows cracked. That decision haunts me now. At first, it felt like a normal date. He talked about movies, dogs, small-town stuff. But then he started asking questions. Too many. You still live on 4th Ave, right? Do you always take Leo to Himmel Park at night? How long have you had that blue comforter with the stars on it? I froze when he mentioned the comforter. That wasn't in any photos. I never posted about it. You looked so peaceful in that photo, he added. I laughed nervously, asked him what he meant. He just smiled. I made an excuse and left. Didn't finish my food. Didn't even finish my sentence. Blocked his number that night. Deleted the app. Thought that was the end of it. Then the texts started coming from another number. I miss Leo's bark. You sleep too close to the edge of the bed. You left your back window unlocked. I didn't respond. A week later, Leo was gone. His leash was still clipped to the back door. I'd only left the yard gate open for a second. I called out for hours. Posted flyers. Checked the shelters. Nothing. That night, I got another text. No words. Just a photo. Leo. Tied to a chair. Looking straight at the camera. Mouth taped. Eyes wide. And behind him, Aiden, still smiling. The police tried to trace the number, said it was a burner, told me to stay with family, beef up my logs. They never found Leo. They never found Aiden. But after a couple of days, around 2 a.m., my phone buzzed, and I get another photo. It's Leo, tied up in a different place. Aiden smiling just behind him. And the scariest thing is, behind them, somewhere in the background, is my house.